So welcome to the Accuplacer information session on reading skills for ESL students,
Yes.
correct? Okay, to be sure you're in the right class. This is for ESL students, right? Let me see the correct verbiage. Oh, I'm not on the right page, that's what it is. So you have, English is not your first language, and
Yes.
you have taken 6 years or less of school in the United States.
Yes.
Correct, so then you're in the right place, excellent. So this information session that I'm going to give you is group 1 of the Accuplacer. Are you planning on staying for all 4 sessions today?
Yes.
Great, excellent. So we'll move along that way knowing that you will be my audience for the next couple of hours. So I'm Margaret, and I work in the writing, reading, speech assistance area, which is just in the back of this room.
Yep.
And if you're not familiar with it, we are a one-stop academic shop that can help you with any of your study skills needs in the area of writing, reading, or speech, or even conversation. If you just wanted to come and have some native speaking experience with someone and just converse about any topic, we're happy to do that with you. Okay, it's free of charge to COD students, and you can come up to 3 times a week. Yeah, so we're happy to help you, and if you want, when we're done, I can teach you how to get registered and you can get established with us.
Oh, very good.
Sound like a plan?
Yes.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get started on the reading portion, okay? I mentioned that I am part of the writing, reading, and speech assistance area. Our hours are up here, but they're also in that flyer as well if you're interested. So we're open 7 days a week. And that is super exciting. It's a little bit different over the summer, but we'll be up and running very, very, very soon with these specific hours, okay? So the purpose of the reading test for the ESL students is to measure your English reading skills. That's what it wants to do. It wants to know how well you read English. It wants to assess how well you comprehend short passages, and it wants to determine the right class to put you in, okay? We don't like to talk about the placement tests as pass-fail. We like to talk to them about, we just want you to have the right fit here at COD. And so that is what this test is used to do. It's to help you get into the right class. We don't want you to be in too easy of a class or too difficult of a class, because we want you to succeed. Okay, so these are the 3 purposes of the reading test. What's going to happen in today's session? I'm going to give you some facts about the test, some hints, maybe some recommendations. We'll go over some types of questions so that you won't be surprised when you get into the testing center. And we'll practice a little bit. And I'll give you a few reminders and some resources to take with you if you want to practice some more at home. Now, have you taken the test yet? Have you? Here at COD, have you taken the test?
Yeah, I checked.
Okay, and you were not, and your score was not one that you were satisfied with?
Yes.
Okay, so let me explain a few things about that. So you know you can only take the test twice in 1 year. Yes, so my recommendation is not to go back to take the test till you feel ready. Okay, otherwise you have to wait 366 days to take it again. Okay, so let's say after this information session, you still don't feel ready about one of the parts of the test. You can schedule an appointment with us and we can practice even more one-on-one in the Learning Commons over there on the other side. Okay, so don't go till you feel like you're ready. Hopefully after today's information session, you'll feel like you have a few more tools. Okay? All right. So let's talk about the facts of the test. As you know, it's web-based, so you're going to use a computer. Untimed. Did you rush? Did you feel like, did you know that you weren't timed?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So take your time. It's computer adaptive. What this means is this. When you answer a question, the computer, if you get it right, might give you a harder question. if you get it wrong, it might give you an easier question. So it adapts to your answers to know the type of test to give you. So you will not necessarily get the same test the second time you take it, depending upon how you answer questions, okay? As you know, there are 20 questions, multiple choice. You will immediately get your score results, okay? Before you take the test, here are some helpful hints that we recommend. We recommend that you consider taking the tests on 2 different days. So group 1, which is reading and sentence meaning, should be 1 day. And then group 2, which is language use and listening, might be another. So that way you don't overtax your mind, right? You can take it slow. So there's the group 1, here's the group 2. Did you take all 4 tests already?
No, just 2, reading and listening.
Okay, so, yeah, so our recommendation is 2 different days. Make sure you bring your photo ID and student ID, allow for extra time. We recommend not going towards the end of the day because testing won't let you in an hour before they close because they want to give you enough time to succeed. So give them a call about their hours and make sure that you have enough time to take the test. Did you use scratch paper or white extra paper the last time you took it? Because we recommend that you ask for some scratch paper. Are you familiar with that term? Scratch paper? It means paper that you can take notes on.
Oh, no.
So you might want to ask, and they won't give it to you. But we recommend that you ask, and I'm going to show you ways to use scratch paper today. That might help you. Okay? And make sure to check the testing hours for hours and locations, depending upon when and where you want to take it. So those are some hints. Other recommendations. So for the reading test, we recommend that you read the question before you read the passage. Let me say that again. Read the question before you read the passage. Okay?
Read the question first.
Read the question first. It's not necessarily what we're trained to do. And we'll practice that.
Yes.
Because they will use a couple different types of questions. And so that is our recommendation. Then read the passage. Then read the answers. Okay? And look for clues within the answers to answer the question. Okay. Check your answers by rereading the text if you must. And know that some of the passages you probably learned have more than one question. So they'll give you the question, but they might have two times that you have to use it, right? Question 7 is the same passage and question 8 is the same passage. But they're asking different questions about it. Okay? All right, so the 2 types of questions that they'll ask on the test. One is a literal question. The other is an inferred or implied question. What does that mean? Let's look at the literal question first. This is where you search for the answers directly in the words, in the passage, in the text. You will find the answers literally in the passage. Okay? You'll look for some key words at the beginning. They might say in the question, according to the passage, and in your mind you go, oh, that's a literal question. I'm going to find the answer in the passage, in the words. I don't have to use a lot of clues. Those are the easier questions oftentimes. Okay, so when you see according to the passage, know that it's a literal question. That's why we recommend reading the question first. Because it sets you up, like, how hard do I have to hunt for this answer, right? So let's practice. Remember that we're going to read the question first. When did my cousin live in the city? Hi, come on in. Why don't you sit right there for me? What's your name?
First,
Frishta? Nice to meet you, Frishta. My name is Margaret. So, let me get you a handout, Frishta.
Yeah, that one I saw. I don't know how to answer this one.
You don't know?
Yeah?
You struggled with that one? Listening, language use, sentence meaning. I don't know what I did with my packet. will show up. Where did I put that, Dom?
Because they didn't give the statement and reading page.
All right, well, let's look. How do you answer this question? So when did my cousin live in the city would be an example of a literal question on the reading Accuplacer test. You know it's literal because we're going to find the answer in the words, okay? Here's the passage. My cousin lived in the city from 1984 to 1989. So the question, if you recall, was, when did my cousin live in the city? Between 1984 to 1989. Now this is where you could use your scrap paper and write down what you think the answer is. And then let's look at the answer choices and see if what you wrote in the scrap paper matches what the choices are. Now, Frishta, you need to ask for scratch paper. They won't give it to you willingly.
Okay.
All right, but we recommend you do it. All right. So was it after 1989? Yes or no?
It was between.
Between.
All right. Was it before 1984? Was it this one?
Yeah.
Or was
Yeah.
this one? Yes. Okay, so that's good. So that is a literal question. The inferred questions is where you kind of have to become a detective and hold a magnifying glass and look for clues. In other words, you don't find the answers in the words, you find them between the words, right? So it's a little bit different in terms of how to approach it. So first, we always recommend, do you need a pen or are you good?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I just want to.
No worries. We always recommend that you read the question first, figure out what type of question it is, and decide what type of clue finder you need to become,
Yes.
right? Literal questions, you don't have to look for as many clues. Inferential, you do, okay? Look for words like assumes, implies, concludes, or infers in the question. When you see those in the question, you know, I need to get my magnifying glass out. This is a kind of a visual of that. So you're going to use this clue, and this clue, and this clue, and this clue, and information that you may already know to draw a conclusion, to come up with the answer to the question. So if we looked at this picture, based on what you know, and some clues in the picture, what can we assume, or infer, or imply? What can we assume? Tell me. Be a clue finder.
It's a cold weather. The
Good.
Winter.
It's winter.
Snowy because the clothes is the coat
Good.
with the scarf and hat.
Good.
And woman and man almost. Okay.
Woman and man, you think? What do you think, Gam?
Women and men.
Okay. That's funny because when I saw this, I thought maybe child and parent. But who knows? You guys might be right as well. And so I'm going to use my magnifying glass and look at a clue. Does she look happy?
No, she's sad.
Yeah. There's something going on there, right? So that's what's the same thing that you do with the passage that was looking for inferences, okay? So let's practice. The author of the passage assumes the speaker should. Remember, we're starting by reading the question. We see the word assume, so we know we have to be a clue finder. Okay, here's the passage. Get your magnifying glass out. Speaking to a group of people can be a frightening experience. Some speakers cope by looking above the heads of the audience. Others try to imagine that they are talking to a friend. And a few try picturing the audience in some non-threatening way, such as in their pajamas. All right? We're going to read between the lines to answer this one, because we saw the word assumes in the question. The author of the passage assumes the speaker should feel comfortable when addressing an audience, scare the audience, encourage people to talk during the speech, or speak only to familiar people.
A.
You think it's A? You think so too? Let's look at the clues. Remember, in this passage, he uses words like talking to a friend, audience, in their pajamas. All situations you're right, that you're comfortable, which was the word that was used in A. So, good job. So those are some of the clues that were in that question, or in that passage. All right? So let's practice a few more that you would expect to find on the Accuplacer. Here's our question. The author of the passage probably assumes that, so you know it's what type of question? Is it literal or inferent? Remember, there's two types of questions. Literal means you find the answers in the words. Inference means you take out your magnifying glass and you look for clues.
Look for clues because it says assume.
Perfect. Assumes, implies, right, infers. Good. So it's going to be a little bit more, a different way of looking at it. So let's look at the passage. Money has been used for thousands of years in nearly every culture as a means of exchange. However, today, the use of cash is becoming less and less common in modern societies all over the world. Every year, a higher percentage of purchases are made online, and even in stores, customers are now using credit cards more often than cash. Many people today do all their banking on the internet rather than going to the bank in person. We're going to look for clues. The author of the passage probably assumes what? Let's see if we can guess. That cash will become obsolete in the future? That using cash will become popular again?
No.
Okay, you think that's a no. That paying with credit cards all the time is dangerous.
No.
That societies that do business online will struggle.
No.
So which one do you think it is, first up?
These three was no. That's.
You think it's A, by process of elimination. That's a fine way to try and attack a question. So you think cash will become obsolete in the near future. Now let's say you don't know what the word obsolete means, right? Is that a word that might be unfamiliar to you? Okay. So I love the way that you attack that question. You're like, I know it's not this, I know it's not this, I know it's not this. So even if we took out obsolete, let's try and guess. Cash will become, what's going to happen to cash in the future according to the passage?
More people use credit card.
Right, so it's going to go away, is basically what it means, okay? Use of cash is becoming less and less common. It's going to go away. Higher percentage of purchases are made online. It's going to go away. Using credit cards more often than cash. It's going to go away. All those clues with your magnifying glass point to letter A. So you're absolutely right. Okay? So good job, even though you don't know necessarily all the words in the sentence, to go with the ones that you do know and decide if it's true or false. All right, here's another one. Remember, we read the question first. According to the passage, it is wrong to. So first, you weren't here when I mentioned to Gam. According to the passage is a clue or a tip-off that it is going to be a literal question. That means you're going to find the answer in the passage. This is a good time to use your scrap paper and to guess what the answer is before you see the answer choices. Okay? So, before giving first aid to an accident victim, you should obtain his or her consent. Asking for consent takes a simple question. Say to the victim, I know first aid and I can help until an ambulance arrives. Is that okay? So we're going to find the answer in one of these words. Let's find the question. It is wrong to. If we went back to the passage, let's see. Is it wrong to use first aid on an accident victim without medical training? Is it wrong to attempt to help an accident victim without permission?
Yeah, he said
Yes.
ask a permission.
Is it wrong to help a victim before an ambulance arrives? Or is it wrong to call an ambulance instead of helping the victim? What do you guys think? You think it's B, Gam? What about you, first up? Process of elimination, which one isn't it for sure? Is it wrong to call for an ambulance before helping the victim?
You're supposed to call ambulance.
Yeah, so that's right. So we know that that's not a good choice, right? Is it wrong to help a victim before the ambulance arrives? Is it wrong to attempt to help the victim without permission? According to the passage it
So
is.
you have to ask.
According to the passage, obtain his or her consent. I can help. Is that okay? Those are where we would find the answer. Okay, so you're right. The answer was B. You said that at first, so that was a good job, okay? Now, this is the same question, I'm sorry, the same passage, but a different question. So remember how I said sometimes they'll use the same passage and then they'll ask, okay? So, asking for consent means, and you know we just read that, so does asking for consent mean permission to help the victim? Thanking the victim? Help from onlookers? Information about the victim's injury?
Hey,
Good job, right? Obtaining consent, is that okay? The answer is A. Okay, good. Well, let's look at this one. According to the passage, is it a literal question or an inference question? When we see according to the passage.
we have to look for clue.
No, according to the passage is literal. So if you look at the handout I gave you, the reading handout, you'll see at the bottom, it says the two types of questions. According to the passage is the tip-off for a literal question. And the other one is the inference questions, uses assumes, implies, and concludes. Do you see that first stuff? So make sure you have a good handle on that because it helps you attack the question in a specific way. So we're going to find this answer in the passage. So we might want to use our scratch paper to try and guess it first and then go back and look at the answer choices. Okay? Dr. Ellen Ochoa is an inventor and is also the first female Hispanic astronaut. Her inventions include technology to help robots inspect equipment in space to maintain safety and quality control on the spacecraft. Before retiring, she logged more than 1,000 hours in space across several missions. There's a lot of facts up there, aren't there? Okay, but you remember that the question was that she is the first.
Spanish woman.
So we know she's the first female
Female
Hispanic astronaut. So that might be what we write on our paper and see if that's an answer choice. Okay? So that's why when we read that question, we don't waste our time reading the passage and not knowing what we're looking for. Okay. So is she the first Hispanic to travel to space? Maybe, maybe not. Is she the first inventor? Sort of. Is she the first woman? Sort of. Is she the first Hispanic woman, right?
Yeah.
So watch that one as well, guys, right? Because some of those could be right, but you want to pick the best choice. Okay? So you guys understand that the answer is then D. Okay? Is this helping you guys to figure out how to do? Okay,
Yes.
excellent. So we're going to keep going. We'll do a few more, and then we'll move on to the next one. When we look at this question first, from the passage, a reader can conclude that. So we know that. What type of question do we have? Look at your keywords on the bottom of your handout.
Something used before.
Can conclude that. Okay, assumes, implies, concludes, infers. Concludes. That tells us it's an inference question. We're going to look for clues within the lines, right? We're not going to get it factually. So, let's see what we can infer from this passage. Dogs and cats make very different types of pets. Before deciding whether to buy or adopt a dog or cat, prospective owners need to carefully consider their own lifestyles and personalities. Dogs may make more affectionate companions, but they require more care and attention. They must be taken out several times a day, and they can't be left alone for more than a few hours. Larger dogs require significant exercise to remain fit and healthy. Cats are usually more independent in nature and interact less with their owners. Also, a cat can be left on its own all day or even for several days, as long as it has food and clean water to drink. So what can we conclude from this passage? Can we conclude that owning a cat requires less work than owning a dog?
Yes.
We can. Can we conclude that people who are away from home during the day should not own a cat?
No, they said you
Yeah.
can do it for
No.
several days.
Can we conclude that people who like to play with their pets should own a cat?
No, they said,
No, not really, right? Can we conclude that owning a cat is more responsibility than owning a dog?
no.
No. So there's a lot of clues in here. They require more attention, the dogs do. They can be left on their own. So you're absolutely right. The answer is A.
And can I take your time? I'm sorry. When you said according, we have to look like really,
According to the passage means you will find the words you'll find the answer in the words. Inference means you find the answers between the words, okay? Even beyond the words sometimes. You have to sort of draw conclusions and read between the lines for that, okay? All right. So let's see, I think what we'll do at this point is we'll move on to a couple of reminders. First of all, remember to preview any questions or statements first before you read the passage. Decide if it's literal or inferential, or an inference, and try and attack that passage in that way. Make sure you understand the task. If you must, read the passage more than once. Look for clues, and try to eliminate any wrong answers like you did first year. That was excellent. Okay? Choose the answer that is best supported by the selection. There are a lot of different places to find sample tests. You'll see them on your handout. But if I draw your attention to this link right here, this Union Test Prep, this is on your handout as well, you will see that it is a really great resource where you can literally put in, I would like to go do some flashcards, and I would like to do flashcards for Accuplacer Reading. And you hit go. Here's the front of the card, and then you can flip it and practice the back of the card. So even after you leave me today, you can get some extra help by following these resources that are on your handout, okay? And or feel free to come on in and see us, and we will go ahead and help you out. A couple more links on there that can help as well. Feel free to make an appointment with us to schedule any face-to-face time. First, have you taken the test already?
yeah.
Okay, well, you can only take this test twice in a year, so our suggestion is not to take the second time till you feel ready. So either use these resources or come see us, and we're happy to help you one-on-one. Are there any questions for the reading portion? No? You feel a little bit more ready, Guy?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so thank you. We'll have you fill out an evaluation, and we'll move on to the next one, okay? All right.